Hello, my friends. This is Ross Jeffries, creator of Speed Seduction, and welcome to this free course on how to be incredibly successful with women, no matter what your looks, social status, age, or financial status for that matter. I'm going to be teaching you some of the tools of speed seduction, my methodology that has helped hundreds of thousands of men over the years to have power, choice, and selectivity with the women they truly want and desire. I have taught not only civilians, but I've also taught people in the military, people from law enforcement. I've taught some of the big names in the seduction world, including Neil Strauss, who wrote the best-selling book, The Game. But more importantly, I'm going to teach you some secrets that are going to revolutionize the way you look at success with women and how you can begin to walk that pathway of success, claim the women you desire and deserve. Now, this is going to be raw. It's unedited. You're going to see jump cuts because I'm speaking from the heart today. There's no fancy production values, as you can see. This is coming from my junky, crappy, crowded office because I wanted to deliver sincerely and from the heart. So the first thing I want to say to you is if you feel that you've been screwed over in the dating game, if you feel that the dating game is only for guys who are rich, who are powerful, who are successful, who have great looks, well, guess what? You're right. The dating game is rigged in their favor. If you're not good looking, if you don't have a lot of money, if you don't have a lot of social status, you're going to be butting up against those people who have all those other things. And you're going to be settling for scraps. And God damn it, it's time you stop settling for scraps. The other thing that's going to happen to you, even if you've had some success with women, you're going to have what I call real hate-ships. And by that, I mean relationships by accident. Someone is accidentally attracted to you. You bump into a woman who just happens to be attracted to you because you're her type, whatever the fuck that means. And so you're not really satisfied, but you stick with her because you're afraid of being alone. You have long gaps in your dating or relationship history. Maybe you'll have a girlfriend for a couple of years and then you have long dry spells. I'm going to show you how to get rid of all of that. Now, I'm going to ask just a couple of things from you. First and foremost, please, please, please turn off all distractions, cell phones. Maybe you're watching on your cell phone, put it on do not disturb, because what I'm going to deliver is pretty radically different than what you're used to hearing. It really is outside of what you're used to, and it does require a lot of attention, a lot of thought. I've done my best, and I'm doing my best to make it condensed and easy for you, but it is completely counterintuitive. It stands outside of what you're used to hearing. So I plead with you, please pay full attention. Turn off distractions. Again, let me circle back. The dating game is rigged against you. Now, always ask who benefits? Where does the money go? Follow the money. So when you ask a woman out on a date, who benefits? Well, first of all, the woman benefits from getting the fancy dinners. Maybe you take her to a show, which is one of the top three stupidest things you could do because you're both busy looking at the entertainment, not at each other. So the entertainment industry, the restaurant industry, if you're stupid enough to give her gifts, the gift industry, everybody is making money and your wallet is getting raped. So if you feel pissed off about this, you should feel pissed off about this. Dating for most men is a form of gambling. You're metaphorically, you've been blindfolded, they're spinning you around, and you throw that dart and you hope it hits the target, when usually it comes around to bite you in the ass, to use a mixed metaphor. Here's the other trouble with dating. Dating assumes that the woman's got the value. You have to ask her out. In a sense, you're begging for sexual change, to use another mixed metaphor. It puts her in the value seat. So it's really, really a fucked over way to doing things. Now, I know you're probably saying to me or saying to yourself, because you can't say it to me, I'm not there with you, but you're saying to yourself, but what's my alternative? I can't just walk up to a woman and ask her, hey, do you want to jump in my bed? That's true, but I'm going to be teaching you some of the basics of my system. So the date becomes just a logistical matter, or you don't even have to go on a date. You can meet for coffee. This is going to sound like an outrageous claim, but many of my students can get a woman into bed within an hour of meeting just by talking to her in a certain way. So let me unpack how this works. First and foremost, the most important thing is not your looks and not your money, not your social status, not that those things don't hurt you. The first secret to understand, this is a big secret of female psychology, is women look at us through the feelings they have for us. I'll say it again. This is the number one understanding you need to get. Women look at us through the feelings they have for us. This is, for example, why you'll see a woman who is walking around with a guy who's obviously not in her league. And I hate that expression too, because there's not a woman out of your league when you know how to step up to the plate. Write that down somewhere. No woman is out of my league when I know how to step up to the plate. So this is the reason why you'll see women with guys who don't have money, don't have looks, don't have social status. Excuse me, there's a fly right in front of my camera lens. Again, this is totally unedited, coming from the heart. This is a reason why. Somehow that guy's managed somehow to evoke those feelings, that range of feelings. So the woman is looking at him through those feelings. What kind of feelings am I talking about? Feelings of desire, incredible connection, fascination, lust. This is why you'll often hear women say, I don't know what I see in John, why I'm so attracted to John. He's not my type. What's going on there is she's describing without understanding that subconsciously she's seeing him through those feelings. So we're going to get into how to create those feelings very quickly. The next understanding I want you to get is everyone says you have to have confidence with women. Well, here's the paradox. How do you have confidence with women when you have a spotty track record? How do you have the kind of confidence where you show up and women are attracted to you when your past is full of examples of fucking it up? This is the paradox that all the dating coaches and all those other people out there don't know how to solve. Well, the answer lies in the following distinctions. I'm going to keep this going rapid, so take notes if you need to. We have to aim for the right form of confidence. You see, confidence is not a thing. It is not like some fluid in your body. I've had students come to my seminars and I ask, who wants more confidence with women? And all 100 hands go up. And I say, okay, I've got a 10-gallon jug of confidence fluid up in my hotel room. It's only $10 a gallon. I'll come downstairs. I'll go upstairs in my room, get it, come downstairs, drill a hole in the top of your head and pour that confidence fluid in. Who wants that? And all the hands go down. My point is confidence is not a thing. It's not a fixed quantity of something you get like porridge they dole out in the orphanage. My friends, confidence is a practice that you do. It is a practice that you do, a process that you do, and I'm going to unpack it. I know I'm going fast. Bear with me because I'm passionate about this. So write this down. Confidence is not a quality that you have. It is a practice that you do. And over time, that practice becomes a personality trait. So if you try to go from someone who's nervous around women, who believes you're not worthy, who doesn't know what to say, if you try to go from that to having this trait of being a confident person, it's too big a jump. You need to go from not doing so well or doubting yourself to a practice of confidence, which I'm going to unpack for you. And over time, that practice of confidence will turn into a trait of confidence. So let's talk about confidence because that is the number one building block of success with women. There are different kinds of confidence or the activity of confidence. The first kind is performance confidence. That simply means you've done well 1,000 times. And so 1,001, it's natural to believe you're going to do well again. This is like the Flying Walendas. You're all too young to remember the Flying Walendas. They were a family that walked the tightrope in circuses. And someone interviewed one of the Flying Walenda family members and they said, you look so calm and confident up there on the tightrope. How are you so confident on the tight wire? He said, I walked that tight wire 10,000 times. I know I'm not going to fall because 10,000 times before I've never fallen. That's performance confidence. Well, the challenge is if you've not performed well before, how do you get that performance confidence? And my friend and my friends, here's the thing. So many men are waiting to have performance confidence before they take any action. So they never take any action and they never do any performance. So they're stuck in that loop and they spin around in their head. The ratio of your thinking about approaching women as opposed to your taking action is way off. So that's performance confidence. Unless you've done really well before, we need to put that to one side. Second kind of confidence is what we call rehearsal confidence. And I do teach this in my seminars and to my VIP clients, which is simply a way of going into a little self-hypnotic state. And I can show you how to do that here. And I will. Again, I know I'm going really fast. Please stay with me here. I know it's a lot. Stay with me. Rehearsal confidence is when you imagine the way you'd like to show up with women. You imagine yourself looking confident. You rehearse how you're going to speak. You imagine getting the results of her jumping on you. That's all great. I'll teach you a little bit about that at the end of this video. Stay tuned. I'm going to actually do a little trance induction with you to get you rehearsal confidence. So stay tuned for that at the end of this video. I'll do a little maybe 7-minute induction to begin to program rehearsal confidence into you. But the third kind of confidence is what I think is most important, and that's learning confidence. That simply says, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm going to go out and I'm going to experiment with women. I'm going to play with women because I know even if I don't get what I want, I'll learn what I need to get what I want or better. It's the attitude that says, I don't need a guarantee. I can go into the world and trip on my dick a little bit because I know I'm going to learn and I'm going to get better. It requires that you take the long-term view, the view that says, you know what? I'm willing to invest a little bit of time, step on my dick a little bit, because I realize the worst that can happen is nothing will happen. My friends, in my seduction career, I've approached countless women. I can't even count the number. And only 3 times out of those thousands of times has a woman ever gotten actively nasty with me. The rest of the time, my friends, the worst that's going to happen is nothing will happen. She'll simply ignore you. That's it. All these stories you're making up in your head, all this talk, what if she has a boyfriend? What if she yells at me? What if people laugh? Do you really want your internal dialogue, that voice in your head, to be the architect of your life? So write this down. I do not allow my internal dialogue to be the designer and architect of my life. I determine. I'm the architect. I'm the designer of my life. Really get that down. So there's performance confidence, which right now, too much to aim at. Rehearsal confidence, learning confidence. That's the most powerful kind because it enables you to walk through the world without needing a guarantee. When you don't need a guarantee, this is really powerful. 99% of the women out there want a guarantee. They want to know that they're not going to be hurt. They want to know that they're going to be successful in some area of life. They want to know that you're the, quote, right guy. When you can walk through the world and not need that guarantee and give a woman permission to have whatever her first response is to you and not be rattled by her emotional storms, then you show up uniquely attractive. You don't have to be charismatic. You don't have to be a great storyteller. You don't have to be a frickin' alpha male. It's that stealth charisma that can attract women. I know I'm going really super fast here. Watch this course multiple times so you can get all the juice out of it. I really debated with myself. Do I do a course on this, a course on that? Do I give them little tiny bites and tease them? I thought, no, give everything you can in the half hour that you've got. And that's what I'm attempting to limit it to, excuse me. So having the right kind of confidence, the way in which you show up, is the first part. The second part is knowing how to meet women anytime, anywhere. My friends, if you don't have a steady flow of leads coming into your, pardon my language, fuck funnel, you're only going to have a limited number of bedmates. So many guys run into this problem. They meet women who accidentally want to talk to them. Or if they're in a situation where they're introduced, they can talk to a woman. If they're at a party or some social setting, and maybe you're one of these guys, my friend, if you're at a party or social situation and someone introduces you, you can start the conversation. The conversation probably dies out, but still you can start the conversation. You can't rely on that. What you have to be able to do is be able to start the conversation anytime, anywhere, and avoid the basic conversational mistakes that men make. But let me tell you a simple technique or two that you can use to start a conversation with a woman anytime, anywhere. The first technique I want to give you is to say something that's really funny that gets her attention. Now, I'm not talking about being a clown, a party clown. If you're the clown, the guy who is really sure of himself and is not ashamed of his sexuality, after you're done entertaining that woman, he's going to come along, take her home, fuck her brains up. So knowing that line of how to be a little bit funny when you introduce yourself is key. So I'm going to give you a little opening line, and I know it's going to sound stupid, but go out and try it. So you do what I call a pre-opener. A pre-opener, and again, I want you to stay tuned because at the end of this video, I am going to do a little bit of a trance induction where I show you how to do some rehearsal confidence so you can see yourself as being powerful and confident with women. So stay tuned. But in any case, you do something I call a pre-opener. If you're in a coffee place, you can say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I reach for the sugar?" That's just designed to get her attention. And then you look at her and you say, "Excuse me, but you don't work for the Department of Defense, do you?" And she's going to look at you strange and say, "No." And then you say, "Because your eyes are weapons of mass distraction." Now, I know what you're thinking, my friends. You're thinking, that's utterly stupid. That can't work. But I guarantee you, I've done this 300-400 times at least. I maybe have had 10 women not laugh out loud. So if you can get a woman laughing, again, you're not going to stay there. If you can get her laughing, that's a great way to get the introduction. So get her laughing with that kind of opener, or you could use some other opener that's funny, but I like that one. Then you can't leave the conversation there. You can't just leave it there, because what are you going to do after she's done laughing? So you want to do a technique I call own the cheese. I know I'm giving you a lot here. Watch this course multiple times. Own the cheese simply means you own the fact that you said something stupid. So you say this to her. You say, "Okay, I know that was really cheesy, but when I saw you, I thought to myself, she probably gets approached 100 times a month. See if she has a sense of humor that would make her fun to talk to for a minute. My name is Dick." Let me unpack that for you. When you say, "Okay, that was cheesy," what you're doing is you're getting rapport with her. You're matching what she's thinking, because she's going to be thinking that's cheesy. So when you say, "Okay, that's cheesy," you're getting rapport with her by showing that you understand what she's thinking and what she's feeling. So first and foremost, right away, you're getting rapport. Then the second thing you say is, "I thought she probably gets approached 100 times a month." Now notice we didn't say, "You're so beautiful, you get approached 100 times a month." We implied the compliment. Listen to me, write this down. Whatever you can get a woman to imagine for herself will be perceived by her as being her own thought, and therefore she will not resist it. So when you imply the compliment, she puts it together in her own mind. So you're implying the compliment. And then finally, you're sort of taking it away. You're saying, "See if she has a sense of humor that would make her fun to talk to for a minute." So now you're making it about screening her. You're making it about, "Okay, you're beautiful. Let's get that off the table. Do you have a sense of humor? What else are you bringing to the table besides being beautiful?" I hope this is making sense to you. Now, there are other ways to continue the conversation. We'll get into that very briefly, but this is one of the best ways, one of the best approaches It just works really, really, really well. There's a couple other ones, but I don't want to overwhelm you here. So I'm going to leave you with that one approach. It's a really, really easy approach to do. Now, many of my students, and you're probably saying, that's too crazy. I can't start out with that. That's nuts. How can I possibly start with that? I can't even talk to a one. So let me give you something even simpler, even easier. We got a little outside noise. I'm going to pause a minute. Again, this is raw. This is unedited. Give me a second, my friends. I'm giving it to you from the heart. Sorry about that. We had some outside noise. I lived by a hospital and there were sirens going by. I don't know if you heard them or not. So let me give you one that's even simpler. You simply say to the woman, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Do you do some kind of martial art? Can you fight? Now that's going to be a pattern interrupt for her. She's not going to know what to say to that. She's going to wonder, is he complimenting me or is he criticizing me? She won't be able to figure it out. So it gets her attention. And then you say, because you carry yourself with discipline and elegance. It's a very unique combination. My name is Dick, or whatever your name is. Now, this is a compliment, but it's not complimenting her on her looks. With a woman who's super beautiful, my friends, don't compliment her on her looks. You can do an implied compliment like that first approach, or you can compliment her on how she moves, how she carries herself. So that's that part of the conversation. That's that part of introducing yourself to a woman. And the next and final part that I really want to introduce is how to have a conversation that creates fascination in a woman, that avoids the conversational mistakes that men make. See, if your conversations tend to peter out, if they tend to trail off, or if you go out on a date and you can see the woman starting to get bored and you're not really engaging with her, it's because you're making these conversational mistakes. And we're going to tell you what those mistakes are, and I'm going to tell you some simple things you can do instead that will get her into you, that will get her attracted, get her fascinated, et cetera, et cetera. So first conversational mistake is you're talking too much. You're talking about yourself. You're telling stories about yourself. You're just doing too much of the talking. And I don't care what the other teachers say about telling stories that demonstrate your high value. What that really does is it comes off as bragging. It comes off as being self-absorbed, and it turns women off more than almost as much as smelling bad. So that's number one conversational mistake. Number two conversational mistake that you make with women is you have what I call data-driven conversations, and I'll unpack that for you. So a data-driven conversation is a conversation about anything you can put on a chart, on a graph, on a prospectus, on a application for a job. It's boring. It triggers a woman's left brain where she thinks about the things she has to get done, her mental checklist. It doesn't get her fantasizing. So that's the second mistake. And the third mistake is instead of having a conversation, you interrogate the woman. Where'd you go to school? Why did you do that? How come you do that? Blah, 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 blah. Where'd you go on vacation? How much did it cost? It's an interrogation instead of having an exchange. So let me show you a very simple technique, how to ask a question. This question by itself will get a woman really turned on. So I'll give you an example, my friends. What's the difference between asking this question? What do you like to do for fun? If you ask, first of all, every woman has heard that question. Every woman has heard that question. Every guy asks her that. You don't stand out from anyone. It doesn't create those emotions you want her to see you through. What kind of question is that? All it does is get a factual answer. She could tell you, I ice skate. And then the typical guy said thing for a guy to say is, really, how did you get started ice skating? And it just is a boring conversation. Listen to the difference in these kind of questions. So instead of asking her, what do you like to do for fun? Listen to this question. When you want to do something that makes you feel totally alive and get your heart beating hard, so hard inside. And time flies by. What do you love to do? Or what's something you've always fantasized about doing, but never let yourself dare do? Now, that may sound heavy to you. I get it. But if you go fishing, you don't bait the hook with what you like to eat. You bait the hook with what the fish likes to eat. And I'm telling you, that question triggers a woman's fantasy mechanism. There's no way she can answer that question without diving down into her fantasies. Because remember, we're not saying, what do you like to do for fun? We're saying, when you want to do something that makes you feel totally alive and gets your heart beating hard, so hard. Did you hear the sexual metaphor? Now you're thinking she's going to catch it. No, they don't catch it consciously. Get your heart beating hard, so hard, and time flies by. What do you love to do? Or what's something you've always fantasized about doing, but haven't let yourself dare to try? That is a completely different kind of question. It triggers her fantasy mechanism. Once that gets going, now you're off to the races. Obviously, I can't explain the full system. I'm giving you little bits and pieces that you can absorb and go out and try. The next little piece I want to give you, and again, firing through this rapidly because you're giving me your time, which is your most precious resource. So I want to fire through this rapidly, give you as much as I possibly can in this brief window. So the next little piece is, well, okay, how do I get her to lead with me? How do I, quote, close the deal? So let's talk about closing the deal. First thing I want to say is that's a mistake in your thinking. The idea that closing is something you do at the end of something called a date is a mistake. Because if you wait till the end of a date or whatever that is, that meeting is, to suddenly lunge at her to do what I call the SUL, the sudden unexpected lunge, where you try to jam your tongue down her throat, doesn't work. So the closing starts by being comfortable with your own sexuality before you even walk out the door. Now, we can't get into that here. That's a conversation for a different time. But what you want to do is throughout the course of the conversation, get her comfortable with touching. I don't mean grabbing her boobs or grabbing an erogenous zone, but when you make her laugh, just touch her on the shoulder. Sit side by side, not across from her. And when you make her laugh, just lean into her just a little bit, shoulder to shoulder. If she pushes back against you and tightens her muscles, you know it's too soon. But lean in again after, and again, I know other gurus tell you never lean into a woman. They're full of shit. Lean shoulder to shoulder every once in a while whenever you make her laugh. Sooner or later, she's going to relax against you. Then you know that she's relaxed and comfortable with more physical, more erotic contact. So we get to the point and ask, okay, how do we get that first serious physical connection, that kiss, whatever you want to call it? I think this is, I'm going to give you a method, but remember, the best thing we can do is first create those states of excitement, desire, lust by the way we do our conversations. So that desire to kiss is already there. Instead of aiming for the behavior, how do I get the kiss? Ask yourself, how do I get her into those states, that flow of feeling in her body where she's excited, where she's turned on, so it's natural for her to want to do that behavior with me. But it's a very, very simple thing to do. You got to do this in a non-creepy way. As the conversation builds and builds and you see her getting more and more excited, you look at her, you look at her eyes, and you look at her lips, and you say, you know, you see that couple sitting over there? Do you think they're getting along? Because I was at this same place like this, not the same place, but identical place. I was watching a couple and they weren't getting along very well. But then he leans over and he whispers something in her ear and she's all over him. She gets up to go to the bathroom and I can't take it. I say, dude, what did you say to her? And then, guys, what I want you to do is you're quoting what the other guy said. Lean over and whisper this into your date's ear. And the guy said to me, here's what he said. He said he leaned over and whispered in her ear, can you imagine that first soft brush of the lips that sends that electricity charging through us? And then you say to the woman who you're talking to, do you really think that would work on a woman? And make her imagine exactly that's going to happen. And I guarantee you she's going to give you a look like, and then you just lean in, put your hand behind her neck, don't push her, and gently guide her to you, or put your hand on her chin and lay one on her. So I'll unpack that again. So you're sitting and talking to her, you've gotten rapport, she's excited already, she's comfortable with you touching her, you've done this kind of conversation, asked these kind of questions where she's already turned on. Then you're going to tell a story about a couple you saw who was on what looked like a first date, that they weren't getting along, and that all of a sudden the guy leaned over, whispered something in the woman's ear, and she started macking all over him. She goes up and goes to the bathroom, and you can't take it. You go up and say to the guy, what did you whisper in her ear? And then you quote him. You say, well, I leaned over, and then you lean over and whisper this into your date's ear. Can you imagine that first soft electric brush of the lips where all that energy just goes moving through our bodies, and we know that something big's about to go down? Then you pull back from your date and say, did he really, really think that a woman's going to feel those feelings? And then you gently take her hand, put your hand under her chin, tilt her head a little bit, no force, and just give her a kiss. Find a little bit. How do you get her to leave with you? It's simple. You simply say, once you see she's ready like that, it becomes a logistical detail. You say, hey, why don't we go somewhere a little more quiet where we can relax and really focus in on each other? It's simple. I rarely find that fails. If she says, you know what, I think that's moving a little bit too fast, you say, you know what, I agree. Let's slow down and only do what we both feel totally comfortable doing. That's a great line, because you're not promising to do anything, and you're not promising to avoid doing anything. You leave it completely vague, completely blank, and you stay in rapport and dissipate all the tension. Okay, my friends, that's a brief overview of speed seduction. I know it's a lot. I'm pleading with you, watch this multiple times. Now, I want you to take a break. I'm going to take a break from this recording because we're going to do a little trance induction. So I want you to take a break. Make sure that you're not driving. If you're driving, pull over. If you're in a public place, I suggest you make sure you should be wearing headphones anyway, that you sit in some spot where you're not going to be interrupted. Ideally, do this in your home, in a comfortable chair. We're going to take a break. I'm going to give you a minute to get ready, and then we're going to do a little trance induction, and I'm going to install some of this powerful and unstoppable confidence in you. So I will see you in 1 minute. And again, this is unedited. It's coming raw from the heart. And we'll see you in 1 second. Take your time to get prepared. Okay, I'm going to wait just a minute here. And so what I'm going to be doing is just a little bit of a hypnosis session. And just so you know, this is not ookie bookie spooky. It is based on science. Hypnosis has been proven to work over and over and over again. Maybe you've tried it and it worked for you, or it didn't work for you, but this is a very, very different way. So my friends, all you need to do is just sit in a comfortable position. You can sit in a comfortable chair. You can lay down if you want that. I think it's a better idea to sit in a chair because I don't want you to fall asleep. So sit in a very comfortable chair and allow your eyes to close. And now what I want you to understand is trance and hypnosis is about relaxing from doing any work. You're not going to be doing any work at all. I'm going to be doing all the work. You don't have to imagine anything. You don't have to try to relax. I'm not going to ask you to count down backwards from 10 or picture a beautiful lake. That requires work. I'm going to be doing all the work. So all I would ask from you to do, as your eyes remain closed, is just allow yourself to observe your breathing. Just notice what your body actually does as you breathe. You don't have to alter your breathing or take deep breaths. Just gently watch what your body actually does when you breathe. And if thoughts come by, just let them go. And as that's taking place, you can listen to every word I say, and you don't have to. You could ignore every word I say, and you don't have to. You can listen to every word I say, and you can ignore every word I say, and you don't have to. Because in trance, things that normally don't go together can join together to form new thoughts, new behaviors, new ways of thinking. And just continue to notice what it's like as you begin to watch the body breathe itself. Left to itself, the body knows how to breathe. Now you may begin to notice that a feeling of ease begins to arise. And that doesn't have to take place now. And it doesn't have to take place later. And neither you nor I know or realize when that feeling of ease is going to arise. And just continue to watch your body breathe itself. Outside sounds and noises no longer disturb you. They merely pass through you like wind through the trees. Any thoughts or doubts about whether this is working, those thoughts just pass through you like wind through the trees. And I'm just going to tell you some stories because when you were young, a little child, you had many, many learnings. When you were an infant, you had to learn the difference between your left hand and your right hand, the difference between your left foot and your right foot. You don't remember how you learned to crawl. But when an infant learns to crawl, there are 3 stages. First, that infant has to learn to pull itself along using just its arms. Then the infant on the second stage learns to pull themselves along with their arms and their legs at the same time. And in that third stage, when your brain is rewiring, the infant learns to move his left arm and his right leg, and his right arm and his left leg in coordination with each other to really get moving. And there came a point in your development when all of a sudden you began to make those first steps and you stood up. And when you stand up for yourself, you can see the world in a whole new way. And when you stood up for yourself that very first time, you could see the world in a completely different way. You were able to see new possibilities, new adventures, new things that you desired. And you don't remember how that happened. And when you grew just a little bit older and were still a small child, you had to learn, really learn, as you continue to just watch your body breathe itself. You had to learn in school how to write, how to print. And for me, it was very difficult. Was a capital M a capital W turned upside down? Or was a capital W a capital M turned upside down? And you had to figure out those bumps that made up some of those letters. And I was confused, and maybe you had some confusion. Was a small d a small b turned sideways? Or was a small b d turned sideways? And you don't know how your unconscious now resolved that confusion. But you were able to find clarity in what was once confusing. And you didn't know it at the time. But learning to write, to print, and then to do script, which was so much more difficult, became the foundation of taking notes when you studied, of being able to read books, of being able to communicate with others. That simple learning became the foundation of so many other things. And I remember there came a time when you needed to learn how to tell time. And at first it was very confusing for me. What did it mean to see a big hand on the 12 and a little hand on the 7? It didn't seem to make any sense to me at all. And what did it mean to have seconds and minutes? I had never seen seconds before or minutes before. I'd seen bicycles, and you'd seen dogs, and you'd seen cats. But what was a second? And one day, I walked downstairs, and I looked at that clock, and I could tell time. And you could never go back to not understanding how to do that. And you didn't know that that would become the foundation of so many new possibilities. The foundation of being able to meet up with friends. The foundation of being able to check how long you've been waiting for them or how long it would be until you got to leave a boring situation, or how much time had flown by when you're really enjoying yourself. And now, something very interesting, really interesting, and you don't know what it is, and you can become more and more curious about it. But when you were a child, there was a time when you saw your first movie, the very first time you went into a movie theater, and you looked at that screen, that big screen, and maybe you didn't know what to expect. And the movie came on. And at first it was just a blank, empty screen, but you were able to watch that movie. And maybe you were able to focus in so strongly, to find yourself focusing in. Now, I'm not sure just how absorbed you became in that movie, so that time flew by. But I wonder just how easily and naturally, as you continue to watch your body breathe itself, I wonder how naturally and easily you can find yourself imagining that you're sitting in a movie and looking at a blank screen. And up on that screen is the image of you having the kind of confidence that really attracts women, maybe a kind you've never had before. And as that movie begins to play, noticing yourself walking into situations, looking strong, held up, head held up high, posture straight but relaxed, speaking in a deep and attractive voice, and seeing yourself approaching a woman with a sense of fun, with a sense of joy, not arrogance, maybe not even knowing what's going to happen, but what instead that sense of adventure that says, I'm going to learn something here. An embodied sense of confidence where you can feel your feet on the ground, grounded into yourself as a man. And just imagine, first and foremost, seeing it, an image of yourself talking to that woman and that woman laughing and feeling a connection with you. Notice what it's like as you allow yourself to imagine like a cord of light connecting your heart to her heart. Maybe, and I don't know how easily you can imagine that energy, that cord of light surrounding her and surrounding you in a bubble that allows her to, and you to feel that sense of an amazing connection. And now notice what it's like as you step back from that and something magical and interesting happens. This time, see yourself in that situation talking to that woman, but magically, mysteriously, amazingly, suddenly, you find that suddenly you're in the movie and you're looking out through your eyes and just seeing that woman glowing with comfort and connection and desire for you. So you're actually looking through your own eyes. You don't see yourself, but you're looking through your own eyes at that woman as she smiles, filled with that beautiful energy of being connected to you. Maybe you see it. I don't know how you'll see it as a certain color. I don't know what that color will be. And then step out of it again and see yourself again in that image, looking and acting confident. See her maybe leaving that place with you. So excited to be with you. Now, my friend, as we wrap up here, I'm going to speak to the part of your mind that dreams dreams at night. Because whether you dream dreams or not, or whether you remember the dreams that you dream, you do dream at night. And when you dream at night, that's your way of processing the new learnings that you have. So tonight, for the next night and the night after that, and each and every time you listen to this induction, this trance, the mechanism in your mind, your brain that dreams at night, will dream a dream of this rehearsal so that each and every passing day becomes more and more real for you. And now, I just want you to notice what it's like as you stir yourself a little bit. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, shake yourself just a little bit, stand up. And I want to thank you so much. And remember to watch your emails because you're going to be getting more messages from me, more free gifts, more value. Every once in a while, I may show you a little offer to continue to work with me. But for now, remember to watch this multiple times. And when you get to the trance induction part, make sure you're sitting in a comfortable place. Don't do that. Don't listen to the trance induction if you're operating machinery or driving. And we'll see you in our next communication. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable time. I deeply appreciate it.